All right, everyone, it is just about time to begin. And now it is time to begin. Please welcome the Vice President of HWA and the President of HWA, Rocky Wood and Lisa Morton.
Good evening and welcome to our annual Bram Stoker Awards banquet. I apologize for not being able to speak myself due to the impacts of ALS, motor neuron disease, and I thank Lisa for reading this speech while I get to return to my seat. So we welcome not only those in the room, but those watching on our 4th live webcast all around the world. Tonight we have an exciting slate of awards to hand out, not only our normal 11 categories, but also Lifetime Achievement Awards, also the Specialty Press Award and HWA Service Awards. This is the 3rd year that we have used the new half-juried system, under which over 50 of our active and lifetime members served as jurors to compile half the preliminary ballot. On that note, I would like to thank the 2013 jury chairs, jurors, the verifier Karen Wiedner-Hanton, the compiler Rena Mason, and their assistants. Also the web team, headed by Angel Lee McCoy, for their outstanding work in delivering the processes we used this year, which continue to receive high praise from the HWA board and prominent members. Indeed, a quick look at both the preliminary ballot and tonight's nominees will show both the broad range of work selected and their quality, including 48% from authors who are not members of the HWA, although of course we would encourage them to join. New blood is vital to any genre, so it's great to know that there are 32 nominees, 51% who have never been nominated before. As well, there is a wide range of publishers, from magazines to films and television episodes to mainstream publishers and the specialty press. A truly representative selection, I am sure you will agree. Let me also recognize here the work of our award committee co-chairs, Norman Rubenstein and Ron Bresnay. These gentlemen have again done an outstanding job this year. The fact that you saw so little speaks volumes. Behind the scenes, I watched Norman Ron keep the wheels turning, diffuse potential controversy, and deal diplomatically and with great judgment when queries arose. Well done, Norman Ron. I also want to recognize the efforts of your Vice President, Lisa Morton, who, as usual, is the organizer for tonight's function and is responsible for what you'll see as an outstanding presentation. Thank you, Lisa, and the volunteers who assisted her to deliver tonight. I'd also like to thank the organizing committee of the entire convention. Functions such as this don't come for free, and neither does the webcast, so we would like to acknowledge our platinum sponsor, Samhain Publishing, and its representative here tonight, Don Dioria. This is Samhain's 3rd year sponsoring the banquet, and we deeply appreciate their support. In its few short years of existence, Samhain has set a high standard of quality in its publications and professionalism in its dealing with authors. That is most welcome in an age when some publishers have forgotten entirely the concept of business ethics. We thank Samhain for their sponsorship and wish them continued success. Let me also thank our supporting sponsors, Journal Stone and Michael Randolph, for their generosity. Before I conclude, I would like to take this opportunity to advise our physical and virtual audience that the HWA is going from strength to strength. Membership is over 1,100, more than 4 times what it was only 5 years ago. We have instituted a wide range of new programs to benefit our membership and the genre generally, the newest of which include a horror poetry section on our website and 2 annual scholarships valued at $2,500 each. I also thank the over 170 volunteer members who worked on our programs in the past 12 months. Finally, I commend to you our next Bram Stoker Awards banquet, at the 25th Anniversary World Horror Convention, which the HWA is hosting in Atlanta next May. And before we return you to the funniest man in the gore business, Jeff Strand, I have a few words of my own I'm going to say here, which is this. HWA has now been around for long enough to have earned the benefit of a history. With over 25 years under our belt, we've seen our genre shrink and shape-shift and regrow, and the organization has done its best to keep up, with plenty of stumbles along the way. We started off as the amusingly acronymed HOWL. Membership expanded through the 90s and dwindled through the double aughts. We've endured recessions and publishing changes and scandals within our ranks, but no one can argue with our astonishing growth over the last 4 years. Since 2010, our size has almost quintupled. The number of programs we offer and events we attend has multiplied with equally amazing geometry, and we've seen our reputation grow by leaps and bounds. We've never been better positioned to serve both the genre and our membership. And those 4 years of extraordinary growth just happened to have coincided with one thing: the leadership of our current president. I've been privileged to work alongside this near demonic engine of labor, and I will attest to the fact that he puts more hours into HWA than most apply to a day job. But an astonishing work ethic is nothing compared to the way he inspires others with his vision of an organization that blazes the way into a brave new future. The fact that he's done all of this while positioned on the far side of the planet and while coping with a disease that would leave most of us whimpering in desperation only adds to our admiration for him. In fact, there's only one thing wrong with this guy. He's created an impossible act for any future president to follow. So please join me in a round of applause for my friend, my co-author, and HWA's president.
Yeah, I absolutely would have been whimpering in desperation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, authors, editors, agents, publishers, artists, fans, and long-suffering significant others indulging your partner's quirks, welcome to the 27th Annual Bram Stoker Awards. That's right, 27 years. The traditional 20th anniversary gift is china, 25th is silver, and appropriately, the traditional 27th anniversary gift is a bloody machete. So, we are here in the amazing city of Portland, Oregon. Unofficial motto, keep Portland weird. Unofficial motto, now that we're here, bring Portland back down to its previous level of weirdness, please. And after tonight's gross out contest, the motto will just be a picture of somebody going. We have a great lineup of presenters for you tonight. If we have any no-shows, it's because they're still at Powell's Books. They're lost, they're going to die there, and they're okay with it. Of course, Portland has Voodoo Donuts, so named because once you've eaten a giant donut topped with bacon, messing with occult forces you don't understand is only the second most deadly thing you'll do that day. Congratulations to all of tonight's finalists. 20% of you are winners to me. And you know what, why not? Congratulations to those who bravely took to social media and let us know that they should have been finalists too. Like Lee said, it's been a good year for the Horror Writers Association. The latest issue of Writer's Digest magazine has a list of the 101 best websites for writers, and it includes the HWA website. Yeah. Yes, I did hold that up beautifully. Thank you. The list does not, surprisingly, have Goodreads, which is an excellent resource that conveys the valuable information that your book sucks. This year, HWA called for Amazon to strengthen its customer review policy to protect authors from bullying, harassment, and inappropriate reviews, which I've never actually had a problem with Amazon reviews. Actually, I love getting one-star reviews that say that my free book is too short. I love getting one-star reviews saying that my young adult novel read like something aimed at teenagers. Yes, I deserve 1 star because I really did tell the mailman to leave your box out in the rain. And yes, the shocking surprise ending where the hero dies could have been better. But you know what? None of that bugs me. What actually bothers me is getting a badly written, spoiler-filled, factually inaccurate 5-star review. Because I'm not sure how to reconcile that. It's like, I don't think they even read it, but they have good taste. In an amazing example of not being a slacker, HWA has already announced that George R.R. Martin will be our guest of honor at the 2017 Bram Stoker Awards banquet. To prepare, tonight we'll be killing off presenters throughout the evening. And this year, Stephen King and Joe Hill are competing against each other for Best Novel. Are we trying to tear this family apart? Dr. Sleep is the sequel to a book where the author goes insane and chases after his son with a croquet mallet. If you're an active voting member, this is on you. As writers of any genre, not just horror, we actively follow the exciting, high-stakes world of grammar. So as you know, since we last had a Bram Stoker Awards, top dictionaries have added a new definition to the word literally. It can now be correctly used to mean an exaggeration, or not literally. Now, I understand that the English language is constantly evolving, but for me, true horror comes from seeing the English language just say, you know what, screw it. You know, you can't bother to learn a simple word like literally, just do whatever you want. You know, I'm done. Lie, lay, as long as it starts with a frickin' L, who cares? Actually, it's no big deal. I wasn't trying to infer anything. You know, as long as I've got my espresso, I could care less. And if you were listening carefully, I didn't even put an apostrophe in its. All right. Women in Horror Month is over, but to continue the celebration, tonight we're going to shamelessly objectify our awards hander-outer and the eye candy for the ladies, Mike McCarty. Fear not. For your protection, if the testosterone level on stage gets too high, everybody will be asked to calmly but quickly file toward the exits. All right, it's time to get to the awards. Since our first category is for superior achievement in poetry, and tomorrow is Mother's Day, I thought it would be appropriate to revisit an old poetry classic. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. Then she said, gosh, that was fun, and gave her father 41. When she thought, that just won't do, she gave the milkman 42. And then she thought, now it's a spree, and gave the grocer 43. As she stood and dripped with gore, she gave the mayor 44. And whoa, her mom was still alive, so Lizzie gave her 45. To show she wasn't out of tricks, she gave her daughter 46. And you know what? We've got plenty of time, but I'm going to skip ahead. And as the crowd's annoyance grew, she gave the MC 302. Presenting the award for superior achievement in poetry, please welcome the author of the Gorlets Omnibus, joined by the author of The Tears of Isis, Michael Arnzen and James Dorr.
I think Jeff just won the award with that.
Some of you, Lizzie included, may have been to one or both of the last two World Horror Conventions at New Orleans and at Salt Lake City. and therefore you may have seen me here before. And in fact, I rather feel like the Lord Chancellor in the Gilbert and Sullivan operetta, Iolanthe, giving agreeable awards away. There's one for thou and one for thee, but never, never a one for me. But third time may be the charm, eh?
If James is Lord Chancellor, I'm Lord Cancer. And I just wanted to say a couple of words briefly about poetry in the HWA. I think on behalf of all the nominees and all poets, we're thankful that the Horror Writers Association recognizes horror poetry for what it is through this award. It's a very important and distinguished award, and we appreciate it. And as we all know, whether you like poetry or not, when words rhyme, they're scarier. So, all right.
The nominees for Superior Achievement in a Poetry Collection are Bruce Boston for Dark Roads Selected Long Poems, 1971 through 2012. Helen Marshall for The Sex Lives of Monsters. Marge Simon and Sandy DeLuca for Dangerous Dreams. Marge Simon, again. Rain Graves, Charlie Jacob, and Linda Addison for Four Elements. And Stephanie M. Wojtowicz for Hysteria, A Collection of Madness.
Okay. And the winner is somewhere in my pocket. Marge Simon, Rain Graves, Charlie Jacob, and Linda Addison for the Four Elements.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I am so astounded, and I wrote something. Did you want to say anything else?
I'll talk after you talk.
Okay. I'd like to thank the Horror Writers Association for honoring poetry. My unending love and appreciation to my fellow elements, Marge Simon, Charlie Jacob, and Rain Graves. I am grateful for our amazing cover by artist Sarah, thank you. I don't always talk so good when I'm nervous. Interior art by Marge Simon, double threat she is. And breathtaking photo of Charlie Jacob by
It was Jim Jacob.
Jim Jacob. Thank you. Huge gratitude to Roy Robbins of Bad Moon Books for making our dream come true.
We'd also like to thank Donald Sidney Fryer, who, when we asked for a blurb, gave us an amazing essay on how great he thought the book was, which we will probably put in the limited leather-bound edition.
Awesome.
I'd like to thank John Shirley for always believing in my poetry, Neil Gaiman for all of his help, and I'm forgetting the other one. My husband.
Just as a safety precaution, if you do come up here, do not look at that light, or you will be blinded. The live webcast of tonight's event is brought to you by the fine people at Sam Hain Publishing. If you're watching from home, please purchase a Sam Hain Publishing title within the next 5 minutes or somebody in this room will die. Or not die, depending on your preference. If there's anyone in the room you want to get rid of, this is your chance. Presenting the award for Superior Achievement in Nonfiction, please welcome the author of Eldritch Evolutions, joined by the editor of In the Company of Sherlock Holmes, Lois Gresh and Les Klinger.
Tonight we're honoring the rock stars of the horror world. But this category is a very special category because in this category we honor the super fans of the horror world, the writers of nonfiction. Now, I'm one of those, and my wife for years has been saying to me, when are you going to write a real book? But that's because she doesn't understand. These are very real books. These are books that take years of passionate attention and devotion to a writer, a genre, a specific aspect of the genre. These are superb books and very much real books.
Okay, I'm going to read the list of nominees. Let's see here. And he's going to open the envelope. Okay, we have Barbara Brodman and James E. Doan, editors of Images of the Modern Vampire, The Hip, and the Atavistic. Gary William Crawford, editor. Ramsey Campbell, critical essays on the modern master of horror. William F. Nolan, Nolan on Bradbury, 60 years of writing about the master of science fiction. Jarkko Toikkanen, The Intermedial Experience of Horror, Suspended Failures, and Robert H. Waugh, editor, Lovecraft and Influence, his predecessors and successors. And
You can tell how serious these books are. Every one of them has a colon in the title. And the Stoker goes to Bill Nolan. Nolan on Bradbury. That's right.
Boy, you know, standing ovation. I mean, I'll never forget you for doing that for me. You know, when I was profiled at Thank you. And when I was profiled in Locust, I could pull the same gag I pulled down in Brighton when I won an award down there. I said I have a list of 60 people to thank. And I pulled out this list and I unfolded it and everybody said, oh my God, it's going to be horrible. And of course, it was a gag. I didn't have anybody to thank, unfortunately. Now this time I have two people I want to thank, two people, so you don't have to suffer through more than two. I want to thank S.T. Joshi for thinking this thing up. S.T. Joshi. He's the guy that said, Nolan, you ought to get all of your essays on Bradbury together. And I said, nobody'd want to read all that stuff. Besides, it's repetitious. And he says, no, we'll cut all the repetition out. I said, there won't be anything left. He said, no, there's plenty left. So there's something left in there, I guess. Now, the second person I want to thank is the person that helped me up the steps here. His name is Jason V. Brock. He's a terrific talent. You're going to hear a lot about him in the future. He wrote the introduction and a fine tribute in the rear of the book. So so I owe Jason a lot for a lot more than this, by the way. Now I want to finish with one thing. When I was profiled for Locus, they called it Last Man Standing, and at the age of 86, I'm closer to Last Man Falling. But I hope to be around a long time, and I thank you very, very much for your applause. Thank you.
All right, HWA members in favor of William F. Nolan. Yeah. So pretty much at any dead points tonight, I'll just say, William F. Nolan! Yeah. All right, I didn't really have to write anything. Our next award is the Silver Hammer Award, presented to an outstanding HWA volunteer. Now, I've said this before, I always say it every year, don't give a hammer to an overworked volunteer in a room filled with the very people who have made their lives miserable. Every single year, when it's all over, HWA President Rocky Wood gets all whiny about where we're going to hide the bodies. So enough. I'm taking a stand. This year, it's the Foam Chainsaw Award. Presenting the Foam Chainsaw Award, formerly the Silver Hammer Award, please welcome the author of Nerves, John Palisano.
Hey, everybody. The Horror Writers Association periodically gives the Hammer Award, or the Foam Chainsaw Award, to an HWA volunteer who has done a truly massive amount of work for our organization, often unsung and behind the scenes. It was instituted in 1996 and is decided by a vote of HWA's board. The award is so named because it represents the careful, steady, continuous work of building HWA's house. The many institutional systems that keep the organization functioning on a day-to-day basis. I like the word institution there, it's about right. Norm has spent nearly the past decade becoming an experienced editor, columnist, horror literature and film reviewer, author, and screenwriter. As an editor, Norm's had extensive experience working for a number of specialty presses, including Bloodletting, Cargo Cult, Centipede, Dark Regions, Thunderstorm, Genius, and most recently as managing editor for Journal Stone. Norm's edited over 40 books and has been the editor for numerous works by the many prominent authors, including multiple finalists for and one winner of HWA's Bram Stoker Award. And to accept on Norm's behalf is Rena Mason. And lastly, Norm, I think Norm is watching because he's not here tonight, and I think there's a little bit of nitroglycerin in the hammer for him if he gets in trouble.
I'm not sure Norm was really thinking when he had me come accept a hammer for him. Okay, here we go. Good evening to you all. Obviously, the lovely young woman reading this isn't me, or at least I hope it's obvious. My thanks to my good and very talented friend, Rena Mason, for standing in for me tonight. I apologize for not being able to be with everyone this weekend, and especially for tonight. My deepest thanks and appreciation to the HWA board for presenting me with a singular honor. However, I must admit to also feeling somewhat guilty and embarrassed to accept this award. It somehow doesn't seem right to be rewarded for doing something that is not only such fun, but that's given me so much gratification and fulfillment. Rightfully, I should be thanking the HWA for providing me with such an opportunity to meet and work with so many of you. I wouldn't be standing here tonight, well, at least figuratively speaking, without the hard work and exceptional service of my Bram Stoker Awards committee co-chair, Ron Bresnay. and all the other HWA members who have volunteered their own time and effort to our awards committee and to all our juries. And I'd be remiss without thanking both Lisa Morton and Rocky Wood for their inspired leadership, their constant efforts to improve everything about the HWA, their nurturing of all the volunteers, and their patience and understanding when dealing with sometimes a cantankerous ex-judge with the patience and stoicism of Godzilla. Volunteerism is at the very heart of the Horror Writers Association. Certainly these awards and the many other fine works our organization does to assist, train, and inspire authors and promote our genre wouldn't be possible without the substantial efforts of nearly 200 members of the HWA who volunteer their time and effort each year to our organization. I humbly and gratefully accept this award on your behalf and would encourage those HWA members who have yet to experience the many joys of volunteering with the HWA to consider doing so. Thank you and good night.
William F. Nolan just rescued 13 kittens from a burning orphanage. Very good. Presenting the award for superior achievement in an anthology. Please welcome the HWA Lifetime Achievement Award-winning editor of Best Horror of the Year, and joined by the editor of Psychos, Ellen Datlow and John Skip.
We're going to cut right to the chase.
No, actually, I have a list of my favorite 600 anthologies that I wanted to recite from memory here. No, go ahead.
Okay. And actually, you're not kidding. Those lights are pretty strong. Well, that one's got different colors. Okay, now I can't read. All right. The nominees for Superior Achievement in Anthology this year: R.J. Cavender and Boyd E. Harris, editors, Horror Library, Volume 5. Eric J. Gennard, editor, After Death, ... Michael Knost and Nancy Eden Siegel, editor, Barbers and Beauties. Joseph S. Pulver, senior editor, The Grim Scribes, Puppets. And Anthony Rivera and Sharon Lawson, editors, Dark Visions, A Collection of Modern Horror, Volume 1. And my compatriot here will announce.
Get out of the envelope. Hey! And the winner is Eric J. Gennard, After Death. All right, my friend.
Thank you, God. How can I go on after Bill Nolan? I mean, my God. Yeah, I feel like a fraud being up here. Yeah, thank you so much. Needless to say, truly unexpected. All the anthology nominations are just so wonderful out there. Every one of them's fantastic. But again, thank you. Needless to say, thank you so much to Stan Swanson and Dark Moon Books, who was my publisher for this. And thank you to Audra Phillips, who was my lovely, wonderfully talented illustrator. Thank you to all my fantastic contributors. Of course, without you, the book wouldn't just have been the same at all. Hey, thanks to Weston Oaks, my HWA mentor, who has always been kind enough to kind of provide advice along the way. And I'll throw thanks also to Lisa Morton, who's more like my literary godmother, and is always just kind of a guardian angel, and just always a wonderful source of inspiration and advice. And gosh, lastly, I have to thank my wife and children, of course, who are at home, and she supports my eclectic behavior. So Again, thank you so much. I'm really blessed.
As horror authors, we have a daily relationship with the gruesome and the macabre. But am I the only one here who can't watch himself getting a shot? Nope, not looking. Thinking of kittens. Thinking of marshmallow kittens in a flower-filled meadow. Okay, I'm done. Back to reading some Jack Ketchum. Presenting the award for Superior Achievement in a Fiction Collection, please welcome the author of How to Recognize a Demon Has Become Your Friend, joined by the author of Here with the Shadows, Linda Addison and Steve Raznick-Tem.
Well, it's quite a pleasure for me to present the award for fiction collection. I have to say the last few years have been remarkable ones for short fiction and fiction collections. Seems like every other week there's a book I want to buy, then I have to hide the charges from my wife. I think I probably bought 50 collections in the last year and a half. And I think the thing is, with that kind of competition, the fact that an author has made the final ballot is quite an accomplishment in itself. This year the nominees: Nathan Ballingrud, North American Lake Monsters Stories; Laird Barron, The Beautiful Thing That Awaits Us All and Other Stories; James Doerr, The Tears of Isis; Caitlin R. Kiernan, The Ape's Wife and Other Stories; Jean O'Neill, Dance of the Blue Lady; S.P. Somtal, Bible Stories for Secular Humanists.
And the recipient of the award, Bram Stoker Award for Fiction Collection, is Laird Barron, The Beautiful Thing That Awaits Us All and Other Stories. And accepting for him will be Ellen Datlow.
Thank you. From Laird. Thank you to the Stoker Committee and the membership for this honor. Thank you to the editors and publishers who bought the stories in this book, Ellen Datlow, Jack Dan, and Nick Gevers; Nick Mamitas, Ross Lockhart, Daryl Schweitzer, Matt Cheney, and Eric Schaller, and to Marty Halpern for his copy edit work. Special thanks to my brother, Jason, and his wife, Harmony, the Langan family, John, Fiona, and David, and to my agents, Janet, Heather, and Poya, for all they do. Extra special thanks to my girlfriend, Jessica, for her love and support. And finally, thank you, 1,000 times thank you to my fans. You guys made it possible.
Richard Layman sadly passed away while serving as HWA president. So in his honor, the Richard Layman Award is presented each year to the volunteer whose service to the organization is most likely to drive them to their grave. Presenting the Richard Layman Award, please welcome the president and vice president of HWA, Rocky Wood and Lisa Morton.
The Richard Layman President's Award for Servers was instituted in 2000 and is named in honor of Richard Layman, who died that year while serving as the Horror Writers Association's president. As its name implies, it is given by the HWA's sitting president. The award is presented to a volunteer who has served HWA in an especially exemplary manner and has shown extraordinary dedication to the organization. J.G. Faraday is the winner of the 2013 award. In announcing Greg as the awardee, Rocky said, "Greg is one of the hardest working volunteers the HWA has ever had. In the past 2 years alone, he has conceived and launched our young adult program, our library committee, which he chairs, and its associated literacy program, and implemented a new database of librarians and authors to facilitate library outreach. For the past 3 years, he has served as a Bram Stoker Awards jury chair and as a board member. Since 2005, he has been a columnist appearing in every edition of our newsletter. That's nearly 200 columns. There's more, but it is clear that in Greg we have a member who leads by example. His first professional sale was a short story in 2005. Since then, he's gone on to have more than 50 short stories published in various magazines, e-zines, and anthologies. His first novel, Carnival of Fear, came out in 2010, quickly followed by 3 others, Cemetery Club, The Burning Time, and his YA paranormal romance, Ghost of Coronado Bay, which earned him a spot as a Bram Stoker Award nominee in 2011. In addition, he has had 2 novellas published. 2014 sees the release of a new novel, Hell Rider, plus 4 novellas from Sam Hain Publishing. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Richard Layman President's Award for Service, Greg Faraday.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Norm for saying all the things that I would have said, originally about volunteers. I want to thank Rocky and Lisa for giving me the chance to do a lot of the things that I do. And more importantly than anything, I think, is to thank the members of all the committees that I work with. They do a lot of work. Library committee, the YA committee. We've got a committee that's now working on outreach to schools. So these are the people that make it possible for us to spread the word of the horror writers to the children, the teenagers, and the adults who are going to be the readers of the future. And that's who we need. And I'd also like to thank my wife, my family, and everyone else who helps out in all the other committees that I work with or get a chance to work with, or who help me do the things that my committees and I do. So thank you. This means a lot.
You know, William F. Nolan once stabbed a hobo to death just to watch him bleed. And he's still the most lovable guy in the room. Presenting the award for superior achievement in a screenplay. Please welcome the writer and director of the Acker Monster Chronicles, joined by the writer of Wolf Creek 2, Jason V. Brock, and Aaron Stearns.
Hi, Jason said that I wasn't allowed to read the names out because I'm Australian and you wouldn't understand me.
I did say that.
But what I will say is that screenwriters are often...
What?
Screenwriters are often the most misunderstood and overlooked part of the filmmaking process. The producers begrudge us, the actors take all the credit. But I believe that it's very hard to make a good film without a good script. The best horror scripts this year are as follows.
My turn. Fabian Ada and Fabrice Gobert, The Returned, The Horde. Brad Falchuk, American Horror Story Asylum, Spilt Milk. Brian Fuller, Hannibal, Aperitif. Daniel Knopf, Dracula, A Whiff of Sulfur. And let me tell you something. I'm right about the Australians. You know, it's really hard to understand them sometimes. So I'm glad I was able to read all this French. Glenn Mazzara, The Walking Dead, Welcome to the Tombs. And the winner is... Faster, come on. Look at this.
The winner is
yes,
Glenn
Mazzara,
Mazzara,
The Walking Dead,
Welcome to the Tombs.
Now, unfortunately, Glenn is not here this evening to accept, so on his behalf, I'm sure he would like to thank the Horror Writers Association and all the voting members for picking that, because that's a great show, as we all know, as they all are. So, thank you very much. And Glenn, if I missed anything, oh well, you're not here, so. Ready?
Thank you.
You can add to it.
I was going to say that I was quite prepared to take the award back to Australia, but I'm not allowed, so.
That's right.
Thank you.
Don't forget that.
The world of publishing is always changing. For example, the new generation of genre authors will never experience the horror of discovering that you just mailed your manuscript out without an SASE. New writers will also never know the thrill of the handwritten rejection letter. Wow, they took the time to personally write "Go to Hell." But publishing continues to evolve and innovate, and much of that happens in the world of the specialty press. Presenting the Specialty Press Award, please welcome the author of Zombie Apocalypse, Washington Deceased, Lisa Morton.
I feel like I should have his sock puppet from last year so you wouldn't get tired of seeing me up here. The annual Specialty Press Award recognizes a publisher outside the mainstream New York City publishing community that specializes in dark-themed fiction. Winners are typically small presses, specializing in limited editions, small print runs, or the work of new and relatively unknown authors. The winner of the award is determined by a majority vote of the Horror Writers Association's Board of Trustees. This year's recipient of the Specialty Press Award is Greyfriar Press of Whitby, Great Britain. Founded and run by Gary Fry, in its 10-year history, Greyfriar has published novels, collections, and anthologies by some of the finest and freshest voices in modern horror. Unfortunately, Gary Fry can't be with us tonight to accept this in person, but he asked me to read the following. In 2003, I was crazy enough to put together a magazine thinking I'd sell, well, only about 20 copies to enthusiasts and family. When nearly 200 went, I thought there might be something in this publishing game. 2 years later, I was soliciting the likes of Michael Marshall Smith and Ramsey Campbell to contribute to a massive anthology called Poe's Progeny, a project whose ambition makes the experienced me shiver in hindsight. But it certainly set me on my way. Since then, while running Greyfriar Press alongside a full-time job, I've put out a steady range of books, each celebrating what I consider to be the best of modern horror. It's been a real privilege to work with authors such as Paul Finch, John Llewellyn Probert, Conrad Williams, Gary McMahon, Simon Bestwick, Stephen Volk, and many other dark scribes, all of whom love this fine genre every bit as much as I do. I'd like to share this award with every one of them. Greyfriar Press wouldn't exist in its current incarnation without one other person. Soon after I started out, a guy called Simon Strancis contacted me and offered his services as a web designer. He quickly created an online presence and provided technical advice, all of which masked the necessarily chaotic manner in which I've always run the company. Since then, he's gone on to become a pretty big player in dark literary fiction, and I'd urge you to grab his stuff. Finally, I'd like to add that it's a real honor to be recognized by such a sterling organization across the Atlantic, and that I hope I can help horror remain a desirable import from the troubled UK. Thank you.
One of our greatest fears is the fear of the unknown, and nowhere is that theme explored more effectively than in short fiction. In short fiction, many of the most disturbing elements are those left unexplained. For example, most people don't know that Shirley Jackson's The Lottery originally had a much different ending. It isn't fair, it isn't right, Mrs. Hutchinson, it was pronounced much better in the original version. It isn't fair, it isn't right, Mrs. Hutchinson screamed, and then they were upon her. Whew, said Steve Adams after it was over. The blood sacrifice is complete, and the demon Triton Razul will spare our crops for yet another season. Sometimes, to ensure the economic survival of a small community, you've got to hold a lottery to figure out who gets stoned to death, said young Billy, and everybody laughed. See? Presenting the award for short fiction, please welcome the author of Flesh Eaters, joined by the author of SEAL Team 666, Joe McKinney and Weston Oakes.
It's just a list, man. It's just a list. I mean, it's no big deal.
What's this? Is this your context?
No, it's just a list. God dang, man.
Hey, stay up on the wall.
Cops, man. Whatever.
Just stay up on the wall, man. Just stay there. Michael Bailey, Primal Tongue. What is that? Is that another pimp?
No, it's a drug. Okay?
It's a drug?
It's a drug.
Patrick Fiveold, Snapshot. What's that? Another code name?
Dude, you have no idea how much that makes you feel good.
Shoot. David Gerald, Night Train to Paris? A French
Man,
Connection kind of thing, right?
It is. You want to get naked and rub yourself.
Lisa Minetti, The Hunger Artist? What's that?
That's a nice one.
John Palisano, The Geminis? Yeah?
Yeah, so?
Okay, all right.
So?
Michael Reeves, Code 666?
Dude, you're going to feel so stupid here in a second. Really.
What?
Let me explain something to you. Oh, stop. It's just this. So I know you're having like a flashback to Vietnam. This is the Bram Stoker Awards, right? And this is the award for short fiction. And those people you read out, they're not drugs. They're really the names of the people and the names of the short stories.
Oh, I feel stupid now.
That's okay. It's okay. You're a cop. And the winner is David Gerald, Night Train to Paris. Congrats, Dave. Thank you.
Was I that loud when I said holy shit? Where's Michael Bailey and Patrick Freewald and Lisa Minetti and John Palisano and Michael Reeves? You're the reason I didn't prepare a speech. I used to love reading horror. I don't write much horror. After raising a teenager, there's not a lot that can scare me. This was not on my bucket list. Dying young and leaving a good-looking corpse is not on my bucket list either. So I'm really overwhelmed, and I'm very grateful. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Sadly, Joe McKinney and Weston Oaks are constantly plagued by insecurity, knowing that William F. Nolan could kick their ass. Presenting the award for Superior Achievement in Long Fiction. Please welcome the author of Little by Little, joined by the author of Dark City, John R. Little and F. Paul Wilson.
Good to see you, Paul.
You have all the information there?
I thought you had it.
No.
Oh, who's running this? Should we just make up?
I see things.
Oh,
in
this.
your hand.
Do you want to read the nominees or read the winner?
I love to read the winner.
Well,
You've won this before, haven't you?
Yeah, I won this before. Actually, this is my favorite category. Actually, partly because of that, but partly because I think long fiction is actually the perfect length for horror
I agree.
fiction. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Add lots of characterization, but still finish it in one reading. And David Gerald's here. Wow, that was awesome. He was my inspiration, and it was really cool. So really nice to see him. Anyway,
He's got tribbles on him there somewhere.
you have to hold this.
Oh, okay.
Don't read it until I read the nominees, though.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay. The nominees for long fiction are Dale Bailey for The Blue Hole, Gary Bronbeck for The Great Pity, Benjamin K. Etheridge for The Slaughterman, Gregory Frost for No Others Are Genuine, Greg F. Gaffune for House of Rain, and Rena Mason for East End Girls.
And the winner is Gary Bronbeck, The Great Pity.
Gary couldn't be here tonight, but he's asked me to accept for it. You've probably heard this 100 times, but I was not expecting this. I never expect for anything I write to be honored in this way, seriously. With the caliber of the nominees this year in all categories, not to mention the number of first-time nominees, give yourselves a hand. The inclusion of The Great Pity on the final ballot was enough of a shock in itself. But this, well, I'll wait for Rocky Wood to show up at my front door with a couple of bodyguards and tell me that a mistake was made and the count was wrong. Yes, I have many dreadful personality problems, but this isn't the time or the place. I want to thank Michael Bailey for having invited me into Chiral Mad 2 and for his faith in publishing. And for his faith in publishing what is arguably one of my most non-linear stories. I want to thank everyone who voted for the story, and I want to thank the HWA as a whole for this show of faith and support in my and other writers' works. I want to dedicate this award to the memory of my friend and yours, Rick Hodela. You are missed, Rick. You are missed, Rick, but your influence as a writer and a grand person will be with us always. This award means as much to me now as it did when a story of mine first won back in 2003, and I promise you that I will do everything I can to make sure that the work I produce in the future makes it worthy of this honor you bestow upon it now. You humble me, and I thank you.
I'm going to be up here just a little bit longer this time. This year I had the honor of serving on the Lifetime Achievement Award Committee. This award is the most prestigious of HWA's Bram Stoker Awards, given in acknowledgement of superior achievement not just in a single work, but over an entire career. Winners must have exhibited a profound, positive impact on the fields of horror and dark fantasy. 2 Lifetime Achievement Award recipients were chosen this year. The first of them is, spoiler alert, R.L. Stine. As a kid, I couldn't wait for the new R.L. Stine publication to come out. I'm not lying about my age. I'm referring to Bananas magazine, where he was credited, as he often was in the early days, as Jovial Bob Stein. My favorite recurring feature was Phil Fly, a comic strip about a fly who really, really, really loves to eat garbage. My own love of eating garbage can be traced back to those formative years. Typical Bananas features included things like scenes we'll never see in Star Wars 3, which had Princess Leia demanding to know where the frozen Han Solo was, while Luke and Lando wonder why the ice cubes in their drinks taste so funny. In the 80s, Stein would go on to write tie-in books for Indiana Jones, G.I. Joe, James Bond, Ghostbusters, and the novelization for Spaceballs, making him officially the coolest person ever. But it wasn't until his novel Blind Date that Stein would officially turn to the genre that made him a superstar. In 1992, he would publish Welcome to Deadhouse, the first book in a series that would have such incredible popularity that if you said, "I've got goosebumps," everybody would know that you were referring to the books and not the skin condition. Ghosts, haunted masks, mummies, werewolves, and an evil living ventriloquist dummy named Slappy, these books had everything a horror-loving kid could want. Goosebumps and its various spin-offs were followed by Fear Street and its various spin-offs, along with Rotten School, The Nightmare Room, and much more, including books to corrupt the grown-ups as well. For millions of young readers, R.L. Stein is horror. His books have shared the fun and thrill of being scared with children, teenagers, and adults worldwide for the past 25 years. Whether his readers went on to become lifelong fans of the genre or eventually moved on to books with fewer evil living ventriloquist dummies, the influence of Mr. Stein is vast and undeniable. His efforts to warp a generation are greatly appreciated by the Horror Writers Association, and it is with great pleasure and a nervous giggle that we present him with the Lifetime Achievement Award. R.L.
Hi everyone, this is R.L. Stein. I'm so sorry not to be with you today and to be missing the big event, and I have to say I'm truly honored to be receiving this award. Actually, I'm happy to be anywhere. I did a book signing here in New York City a few weeks ago, and a librarian came up to the table and she said, "Can I have my picture taken with you? The kids all think you're dead." So I'm very happy to be anywhere and happy to be able to talk to you. This is the 22nd year of Goosebumps. Can you imagine? I think some of us just don't know when to quit, but I keep going. The newest Goosebumps book is called Creature Teacher, The Final Exam, and it's about a teacher who eats one of her students every year. Something that it's actually based on a true story, I think. I'm so lucky I get to scare all new generations of kids. I'm also happy to say that we are actually doing a Goosebumps movie. After all this time, a Goosebumps feature film is being filmed right now in Georgia, and I am a character in the movie. In the film, R.L. Stein is this grouchy old recluse, and I've retired from writing because all of my monsters are escaping from my books. And so there's a lot of special effects, and all the early monsters are in the movie. And some kids come to me and say, "You've got to write one more book you have to round up the monsters." And of course the question was, who should play me in the movie? And it ended up that it's Jack Black. So Jack and I are like twins, don't you think? And we're like this. And anyway, I think he's going to be hilarious. I can't wait to get down to Georgia and see how things are going with Jack Black as R.L. Stein. My other big announcement is that I've decided to bring back the Fear Street series. I thought maybe, I haven't written any in like 20 years, but I thought maybe it was time to start killing off teenagers again. I don't know why I enjoy it. Well, I guess everyone loves killing teenagers, right? So I'm starting the Fear Street books for St. Martin's Press. The first one is called Party Games, and it'll be out in October. Anyway, I just wanted to do this short video and say hi to everybody and say how sorry I am not to be there and how honored, how truly honored I am to receive this award from the Horror Writers of America. Thank you all very much and have a scary day.
And presenting our second Lifetime Achievement Award of the evening, please welcome back Lisa Morton.
Since I already had the pleasure of introducing HWA's 2013 Lifetime Achievement Award winner Stephen Jones at the opening ceremonies on Thursday, I'm going to take a different approach with this particular introduction, and I hope you will pardon me for getting completely narcissistic with this. See, here's the thing. I owe whatever career in horror I have to this guy. That's not an exaggeration or something you say because you want everyone in the audience to go, oh, that's so cool. Go look at my list of credits and you'll see this name, Stephen Jones, pop up a lot. Back in 1993, I attended my first World Fantasy Convention. This was back before we had World Horror Conventions. And horror was the little red-headed bastard stepchild who had to beg Big Daddy Fantasy for a place at the table. I was coming off of a colorful career in Hollywood, which of course means that I'd found enough success as a screenwriter to be deeply embarrassed by every one of the atrocities that bore my name as writer. My Southern California homies, Dennis Etchison and Roberta Lannis, took me by the hand and led me through this strange new world of writers' conventions. And one of the first people they introduced me to was Stephen Jones. By the end of our first conversation, Steve had, for whatever insane reason, given me an open invitation to submit stories to him. I was just venturing into the world of prose fiction, hoping to recover the wispy, tattered shreds of my self-esteem that had survived my screenwriting ventures. And Steve actually bought the second story I sent him, and the next one, and the next one, and a lot after that. Most recently, I was especially honored that Steve asked me to write one of the 2 standalone novels for his zombie apocalypse series. The fact that his acknowledgement in that book thanks me for writing a novel that will never be reviewed on Fox News proves that he's obviously an editor of astonishing tolerance. All of this is by way of saying that I'm guessing I am not the only writer who owes much of their resume to Steve Jones. Steve's edited nearly a quarter century of the yearly Best New Horror anthologies, as well as dozens of other books, including 6 volumes of Dark Terrors, every major monster in the Mammoth Book of series, including my personal favorite, the spectacularly titled Mammoth Book of Psychomania, complete with exclamation point, and dozens of other anthologies. He's won more awards than any other editor, with the possible exception of his unholy twin, Ellen Datlow. And he's also written extensively about the genre. You only need to visit his website to see photos of him with the likes of Robert Bloch, Neil Gaiman, and Anne McCaffrey to realize that this guy has walked beside legends for one obvious reason. Thank you, Steve Jones, for everything you've done for the genre of dark fiction, and I am completely thrilled to be the one handing you this Lifetime Achievement Award tonight.
Thank you, Lisa. As always, my voice is going, I'm afraid, because I got too excited on the first 2 days and drank too much. It's a great honor, especially because I still feel like I'm in my 20s, and getting a Life Achievement Award was a bit of a shock, to be honest with you. At least in my head, I feel like I'm in my 20s. My body tells me it's something else these mornings, and that's why my voice is a bit like this tonight. My apologies in advance. This is going to be a list of thank yous. Like the Oscars, There are a lot of people I have to thank for getting to this point in my career. But first, I'd like to extend my congratulations to the other major winners this weekend, Brian Keane on his Grandmaster Award, and my co-Lifetime Achievement winner, R.L. Stein, for not only getting kids to read, but for introducing them to traditional horror themes. I'd also like to thank the HWA for giving me this award, notably to Rocky and to Lisa for all their hard work on my behalf, especially as I've been somewhat critical of the Stoker Awards in the past. I think it was very brave of them to even offer this. I was very lucky. When I was starting out in this field, I learned from some of the best editors that were out there. And I'd like to acknowledge tonight the UK editors who had the biggest influence on me, included Mike Ashley, Richard Dalby, Hugh Lamb, Peter Haining, Michelle Parry, and David A. Sutton, all of who should be up here getting this award before I do. In the US, I started coming to conventions quite young when I was in my early 20s, and I was very, very fortunate to learn my craft from three of the great editors, Carl Edward Wagner, Dennis Etchison, and Charles L. Grant. I also want to acknowledge my debt to August Derleth, who I never met or corresponded with, but who probably had the most influence on my career than any other editor. I would like to thank all my current publishers and editors, especially Joe Fletcher of Joe Fletcher Books, who has always supported my work without hesitation, and Peter Crowther at PS Publishing, who is never anything but fun and inspiration to work with. But as you know, an editor is only as good as the people they work with. And I've been fortunate to have worked with some great people over the years. So I want to thank all the writers, artists, and of course the readers who have supported me over these past 4 decades. I also want to do a shout out to some of those special people in my life. Ramsey Campbell for taking me under his wing in the first place. Michael Marshall Smith and Peter Atkins for their unfailing friendship. And of course Mandy Slater, without whom I would probably not only not be here this weekend, but wouldn't have such a nice room and free breakfast every morning. Plus my family, who have always supported me in what I do, even though through the lean times and the problems that affect all of us who work in the arts. And can I say what an honor it is to be receiving this award in front of my old friend and fellow winner tonight, William F. Nolan. I can only hope that my career is half as prolific and a quarter as talented as Bill's has been. And finally, yes, I'm nearly finished, I want to urge you all to keep reading books, and I mean print books. Whether they be horror or any other kind of genre, we must never allow the printed word to disappear. Words have power. Words educate. Words can change the world. And as writers and creators, that is our sworn responsibility to the generations that follow us. And now I've come to the end of my own words, so thank you all again for this honor.
Dr. Frederick Wortham's 1954 book, Seduction of the Innocent, explained how comic books corrupted the minds of young readers, turning them into criminals who crave drugs, deviant sex, and violence. This book inspired a U.S. Senate investigation into the relationship between comic books and juvenile delinquents, leading to the creation of the Comics Code Authority, although they would eventually decide that comics had no impact on the children of the 1940s and 50s, and that their acts of violence were in fact inspired by video games. Presenting the award for superior achievement in a graphic novel, please welcome a guy whose extensive comics work includes the Marvel Legions of Monsters, joined by the artist of Witch Hunts, Scott Edelman and Greg Chapman.
The superior achievement in our graphic novel category is a new category to the Stokers, but a most welcome one. comics, because comics play a vital role in horror storytelling that go way back to the good old days of the old DC Comics.
Yes, and as we look ahead to the future, I'd just like to take a moment right now to remember a great who we just lost in the last week, Al Feldstein, who was a few years ago. We gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award because of the great work he did as a writer, artist, and editor of EC Comics in the early 50s with Tales from the Crypt and other titles. And we all who have done horror comics work in his shadow. And I am sure that all the folks here feel that presence and are spurred on to do even greater work by someone as great as that who we had amongst us. And the nominees?
The nominees are Fatale, Book 3, West of Hell by Ed Brubaker, Alabaster Wolves by Caitlin R. Kiernan, Witch Doctor, Volume 2, Malpractice by Brandon Seifert, Sin Tuchulo by Cameron Stewart, and Colder by Paul Tobin. And the winner is?
And the winner is Caitlin R. Kiernan for Alabaster Wolves. And Caitlin R. Kiernan could not be with us tonight, and the award will be accepted by Ellen Dadlow, coming to the stage once more.
From Caitlin R. Kiernan. My thanks to Steve Leiber, Greg Ruth, and Rochelle Rosenberg, because 4 people actually created this book, not one. My thanks also to Rachel Edidin for convincing me to give comics a second chance, and to Jemiah Jefferson for her enthusiasm, and to Mike Richardson. Finally, I would also like to thank Daniel Shaban for keeping Alabaster alive. I'll keep it.
Authors of young adult horror fiction must tell their stories without the use of extreme violence, sexual content, or profanity. Say people who haven't read a YA book in the past 2 decades. Presenting the award for superior achievement in a young adult novel, please welcome the screenwriter of He's Not Looking So Great, joined by the author of Concrete Savior, Lynn Hansen and Yvonne Navarro.
I can understand why Lynn is up here. She's actively writing YA books. I won an award for a YA book in 2007, which was quite a while ago, and I've written a few things since then, but I can't really figure out why I'm up here. I've been thinking about it. Okay, maybe I've been told I still look like my baby pictures, right? Okay, maybe. I'm dressing okay. I'm not using diapers again. I have been reading a lot of YA fantasy, so it's either that or the fact that I'm like bordering on my second childhood.
Well, you know, Yvonne, I know why you're up here tonight.
Oh, God.
It would be to read the nominees for Outstanding Achievement in a Young Adult Novel, starting with, the nominees are
Patrick Freevald for Special Dead,
Cami Garcia for Unbreakable,
Joffrey Girard, Project Kane,
Joe McKinney, Dog Days,
Kat Winters, In the Shadow of Blackbirds. And the winner is Joe McKinney for Dog Days.
This is always so much easier when Bill Nolan does it. Thank you so very much. Thank you. I'm truly honored for this. Thank you. Gosh, I won't put you guys through a huge list of thank yous, but there's so many. Chris Payne, thank you for, he's my editor and publisher at Journalstone, and I think I promised him 3 different books before I gave him something completely different, and so I appreciate him having infinite amounts of patience with me. There's a whole lot of autobiography that went into this book, and so I want to thank my parents for not taking R.L. Stine's advice and killing teenagers. But lastly, most importantly of all, my wife Tina and my daughters Elena and Brenna for putting up with my crazy, because it gets weird around the house McKinney sometimes. But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, only 2 awards left. Presenting the award for Superior Achievement in a First Novel, please welcome the author of The Gentling Box, joined by the author of The Ghosts of Coronado Bay, Lisa Minetti and J.G. Faherty.
I just want to say that when Lisa Morton asked me to do the presentation for the first novel, I could not have been more tickled, primarily because if I'm going to keep getting nominated and digging vintage clothes out of my mother's closet, I'm running out of things. So I was glad to have an opportunity to finally wear this on the stage. But anyway, first novels are very interesting, I think, because...
Well, the nice thing about a first novel is it's actually not a first novel because you usually have to write 3 or 4 to get there.
That's your, that would be you. That would be you.
So the nominees for first novel, can everybody hear?
Oh yeah, all right.
The nominees for first novel are Kate Jones for Candy House, John Mantooth, The Year of the Storm, Rena Mason, The Evolutionist, Jonathan Moore, Redheads, and Royce Prouty, Stoker's Manuscript.
And
the winner is?
The winner is Rena Mason for The Evolutionist. I'm so glad.
Oh, yeah. Tuck this in there, too. She gets all of that.
We don't do that part. They do this part. I want to hug her, though.
I want to thank the Horror Writers Association, my family and friends for all their love and support, Greg Faherty, a friend of mine, Loretta Silvestri, Chris Mars. Special thanks to R.J. Cavender, who helped me see this project through, my publisher, Nightscape Press, Robert and Jennifer Wilson, and my family and friends for all their love and support. I think I said that, but thank you.
All right, we are at the end. Although it's actually only about 9 o'clock, it was supposed to go till 9:30, so if you need me to stand up here and just recite William F. Nolan trivia for the next half hour. Oh. All right, business information. If you are a winner tonight, you have to do photographs. Please report to this part of the stage over where the handsome Mike McCarty is standing. And also, if you accepted on someone's behalf, you are in the pictures too. So Head right over there once the banquet is over. The after party will be in the Oregon room, so head over there. You don't have to keep your tuxedos or fancy clothes on. Well, you do, but that's it. It gets wild. Presenting the award for Superior Achievement in a Novel. Please welcome two of our World Horror Convention 2014 guests of honor, the author of The Girl Next Door, joined by the author of Unleashed, Jack Ketchum and Nancy Holder.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. How are you? Jack and I are so excited to be here, having both of us won Bram Stoker Awards before.
This is a very coveted award.
Yes.
Which I have never won.
Right. Loser.
Not once. She's won it once.
Yeah.
5 times she's
Loser.
5.
Loser. Actually, I am going to reveal a dark secret of HWA. As Lisa did mention, we have had some stumbles in the past. And I asked Weston Oaks to look into this. And Dallas, or Jack Ketchum, I have to tell you that you actually did win some years ago. What? Yeah, but they got your name wrong on the award. It said Jack Ketchup. And they were so embarrassed about it.
The ketchup thing again?
Yeah, they lied to you, and they gave the award to someone else. So you actually have won 5 Bram Stoker Awards.
That's so good to know. So good to know. Thank you, Nancy.
That's no problem. So you got to update all the history of the HWA now and make that clear. That was
another half hour,
a
right?
dark moment. All right. Since it's not all about us, go figure. I would like to read the nominees, and then Mr. Ketchup will read the Ketchum will read the name of the recipient for the Superior Achievement. So the novel nominees this year are Joe Hill for Nosferatu, Stephen King for Dr. Sleep, Lisa Morton for Malediction, Sarah Pineborough, and F. Paul Wilson for Unnecessary End, and Christopher Rice for The Heavens Rise. The envelope.
The Overlook does it again. Stephen King.
Rocky Wood will be accepting for Stephen King.
Sorry. Lost my place here for a second. Okay. I'm delighted to have won this award, and I want to thank everyone who voted for my book. Deciding to write a sequel to The Shining was a scary idea in itself, and while I was working on it, I kept telling myself I was crazy, and no one would like it. I'm glad I was wrong. Thanks again for this affirmation, Stephen King.
And we're done. Thanks everyone for showing up. See you at the after party. Good night.